Worksheet 6.2, solve each inequalities, the directions, and that's what we've been doing. So isolating the variable, getting it by itself, we just have to remember that one rule where if we multiply or divide by a negative, we need to switch the direction of the inequality. Or if we flip the x in the number, we have to switch the direction of the inequality. Here we go. And I'm going to do about half of them here. So if you're getting stuck on some of the further down ones, just hang in there. I'll be right there. So here we go. B is on the left. It's being subtracted by 2 and multiplied by 4. We have to undo addition and subtraction first. So we add 2, and then we will divide by 4 on each side of the inequality. So we get 4b is greater than 44. Divide by 4. B is greater than 11. Boom. Remember here x is being divided by 10. So to undo that, you will multiply by 10. But first, make sure you add 5 to each side. Then multiply by 10. Here, which one looks tougher? Meh. Undo subtracting for 1 by undo subtracting 1 by adding 1. Careful here. Negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1. So we get r divided by 4 is less than negative 1. To undo dividing by 4, we will multiply by 4. So we get r is less than negative 4. Over here, by the way, notice n is on the right side. So in the end, once you have isolated the n, please switch the n and the number, and then also flip the direction of the inequality. I'm going to skip to some of these here. Let's try number 7. So now it's not just undoing things. Now it's a little bit of simplifying first to make the inequality look like an easy one we can solve, and then isolating that variable. So what makes this number 7 a little bit more difficult than what we just saw? There's parentheses, and so to remove those parentheses, we have to distribute the multiplier out in front. Now, what number are we multiplying everything in here by? Not just 5, it's a negative 5, and it's really important that we multiply by a negative 5. So we get negative 30x plus negative 5 or minus 5. Either way, this becomes a negative value. And then we just copy down what else we have. We've got 205 is greater than or equal to. We bring down that inequality. So now we undo some things. So now we add 5 and add 5 to undo subtracting 5. So we get 210 is greater than or equal to negative 30x. Now what's being done to x? Multiplied by negative 30. So divide by negative 30. Ooh, our bells, lights, and whistles going off because we are multiplying or dividing. In this case, we are dividing by a negative. So we need to, in the end, flip the direction of the inequality. So here's x. Here is negative 70. Do not bring down the inequality facing to the left as it has been. We need to switch it to the right. Hooray, we've isolated the x, and we've already done it correctly. We've remembered at that one tricky point to when we divided by a negative to flip the direction of the inequality. However, what are we going to say could be better about this? If you checked your answer, we always put x's on, or our variables on the left side of the equation, or the left side of the inequality in this case. So now we're going to flip the x and the number. And when we do that, we need to switch the direction of the inequality. So now Pac-Man eats to the left again. It's kind of funny, we had to switch it twice, so then it actually goes back to the original. So if you remember here, you'd read this x, Pac-Man's eating the x, so x is greater than or equal to negative 70. Now read from the x down here. It says the same thing. X is greater than or equal to negative 70. It just looks more friendly. We like our variable there. All right, I'll whip through this, and then I'll do the last two as well. So we get 3 is less than, 3 minus 18x after I've distributed. drop down our negative 141 in our inequality. Now this one's a little bit tricky because the 3 is positive. Now there's a minus sign here. What that does is makes the 18 negative. So to the x, we are multiplying it by negative 18. To the x, we are also adding 3 to it. So we have to undo this positive 3, this adding of positive 3 by subtracting 3. And use a lot of funky colors on this one. Here we go. So we're subtracting 3. So we get negative 144 is greater than negative 18x. So how do we undo multiplying by a negative? We divide by a negative. Bells, lights, and whistles should go off here. In fact, I usually don't do this, but now I'm gonna, because I'm not sure what this is right now, and it's gonna stump me a little bit. So since I know I'm gonna get stumped on this, but bells, lights, and whistles went off, I'm not gonna forget to flip this. I'm gonna do that right now. I'm gonna flip this right now before I do any other calculating or simplifying. So when I do this in my head, I don't get screwed up. I think that's gonna be an 8. Yeah, let's go with 8. Pretty darn sure. A negative divided by a negative is a positive, so it's a positive 8. And then we get our x down there. So I've switched the direction of the symbol, inequality symbol. That's looking pretty good. Now the answer is x is greater than 8. Now of course we could write that with x on the left. X is greater than 8. There we go. Alright, you know what, I lied. I said I was going to do all of them here. I'm not. I'm going to do one of them. So number 10 is what I'm going to do. So number 10, what's difficult about it? There's some parentheses. That's one of the things I first notice. So I get positive 40x minus 40, and then I still have this plus 1 hanging out outside. Notice this plus 1 is not in the parentheses, so it does not get multiplied by the negative 8. Over on the left, I've got a negative 279. Whoa, negative 279. Now, there's a few ways you could go about it. You could subtract 1 right now and then add 40. It's good to get in the habit of combining like terms. That's an integer on the right side of the inequality, and so is that. So those are like terms. They're on the same side, so we can combine them. So it's really just a negative 39. So we have 40x minus 39. Now that's a simple one to solve. Now we can start undoing things. So we'll add 39, add 39. So we get negative 240 is less than 40x. Now we divide by 40. We get negative 60 is less than x. Or you could read it as x is greater than negative 60. X is greater than negative 60. Try that over here on number 9. You can do it.